The doctor is in and answering your questions live. Moderating this conversation with Dr. Oz, Chief Communications and Marketing Officer Dan Macuga.
The changes in the world we live in have been quick and dramatic. That's one of the reasons we are so fortunate to have an amazing relationship with one of the world's most respected doctors to lean on. Dr. Oz has been working nonstop to keep us all informed and help us navigate this ever-changing world crisis. Serving as a media expert and making his hospital rounds in New York City, all while producing and hosting the Dr. Oz Show, which we are grateful to be trusted sponsorship partners of. We've had an extraordinary adventure with Dr. Oz over the past 7 years. He cares deeply about us, about you, and how to better help us all maintain our health. Since we started our journey with Dr. Oz, he's made it to every convention. We've brought him in like he is a true rock star. We even found a way to bring him in by flight. Took some risk bringing him in on a scooter, and then try to contain him in a bubble. He's literally broken down every barrier to show up for us. And even with this upside down world we're living in, he is committed to being here. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Mehmet Oz.
Hey, Dan. Everybody, how are you? You know, I know the world feels a little more upside down, actually, a lot more than usual today.
I think it might just be your camera or something else.
It's really good for blood flow, though. I'm really feeling alert here.
This guy's always making an entrance. There we go. Now that you're upright, let's get right to it. So the doctor is in, and he's here to answer your questions. We want you to send them in below. And while you're thinking about what you'd like to ask Dr. Oz, we have a lot of new associates and customers joining us for convention for the first time. So let's start this session with a lightning round aimed at learning 10 new things about our favorite doctor. All right, you ready? I feel like we're on the opposite sides of where we should be. You should be doing this, and all right, here we go.
You're hosting today. You're hosting. Take it away.
Host with the most. Here we go. What is the silliest thing you've heard people say about you?
A lot of people think my name is fake, that Oz couldn't be there. My name is too convenient, but actually it's Turkish. It means pure and strength in Turkish. So it's a real name. My dad got it from his dad. It's been there for a long time.
There you go. Things you need to know. Now, here's number 2. What food would you ban? If you had to ban any food, which one would it be?
Oh, I know for sure. This is what potato chips. Number 1 cause of gaining weight. For a good reason. They taste really great. Not so good for you. In fact, most kids don't even know that potato chips come from potatoes because they don't know what potatoes are. So that's the first thing I get rid of. But most other things you can probably get away with.
All right. What is your go-to snack then?
We spent a lot of time together, Dan. I think it's chocolate. I think that's the answer for you, too. But real chocolate, 70% cocoa. It's got a little bitterness to it. Oh, melts in your mouth. It's fantastic.
You're probably the only person who eats chocolate-covered kale. So on a day...
Don't knock it.
That's right. On a day held in your honor, what would you want people to do?
I want them to play sports because I think it teaches them a lot about how to focus on things that matter. And the reason you always say, like, watch the ball is not because you have to just watch the ball to hit it, which is part of it. It's because it forces you to focus, which is what you need to do in life. And for all of you out there, I know there's been a lot going on, but what I want to get across today is how do you find the things to focus on that matter, and how do you get rid of all the chit-chat that just distracts you? Sports forces you to do that.
And we're hoping the world can get back to more often being able to play more sports. So here's a good one, because I already know this answer, but how many grandchildren do you have?
I keep telling you to make some. That's Gigi you're looking at there. It's her birthday this weekend. She's my 4th grandchild, the last in line. She was 1 year old. So this weekend. So that, I've got 4. They're blessings. And here's the best part. You can give them back when they're not behaving. And it's the best way to get your kids back for all the things they did to you.
Things to look forward to, right? So let's see. If you could turn back time. Now, I don't know the answer to this one, so I'm curious. If you could turn back time, what historical figure would you like to interview?
I have a good friend, Hugh Jackman, who was just raving about this book on Genghis Khan. And part of the reason was my middle name is Genghis. And I read the book. And it's fascinating to understand how much of the modern world changed because of Genghis Khan. It's not the Genghis Khan we know of. We think of this marauding Mongol from the West, but in fact, he was the first to create a true meritocracy, and he built the largest landmass empire ever. But there's lots of lessons to learn about the way he actually treated people. He'd always take care of the small guy, which is, I think, one of the beautiful things of entrepreneurialism.
And I should have known that because we were talking about that when we were standing on the Great Wall, if I recall. What skill or craft would you like to master?
And I want to emulate my hero, Kevin Guest, who you all know. That man can play musical instruments. And I love convention because I get to perform with them. I don't do much but stand there and smile. But I did learn how to play the piano as a child. I've been playing more recently. I wish I could be good at it. If Kevin could teach me that, I'd be eternally grateful.
Me too. Let's see. If you hadn't become a surgeon and a talk show host, what career path would you have chosen?
Oh, there's no question. I played sports my whole life. I wanted to be a professional athlete. And it wasn't just for the sports. I wanted to get to coaching, the mentoring, because that's what it had done for me during high school and in college. And I thought, God, those pro athletes, they really get coached about the mind-body connection. And so many of the things that you guys do beautifully at USANA have to do with interacting with pro athletes. So usually at convention, I'm backstage trying to peck for information from all these athletes. And I've had a bunch, as you know, on the show as well, from tennis to Olympians. But when you actually understand what they know about their bodies, how they've made it their job to understand subtle little ways of tuning themselves up, we can all apply that, the mere mortals of us, to our day-to-day lives as well.
And we just had 4 amazing athletes with us talking about just those things. So here's another one for you. What fact amazes you every time you think of it?
I have to say the reality that we have 10 times more bacteria in our gut than cells in our body. Think about that. We actually outsource digestion. We don't do it ourselves. We give it to the bacteria who do the hard work, and then they give us the nutrients, which means the bacteria we have in our gut have to be nurtured, they have to be supported, and that way they'll work better for us. A lot of us don't realize that, and we just write off that it's not the food that's making us feel miserable. In fact, the food will make us energized, in part because we're feeding the good guy bacteria that are desperately trying to help us. Help us to help you.
We get that from Rob Sinnott and the R&D team talk about that a lot too. All right, now here's the most important question I have, the 10th one in our lightning round here. Would you rather talk like Yoda or breathe like Darth Vader?
I'm a Yoda guy. Do or do not. There is no try, Dan. Grasshopper.
I pegged you for that. I thought the Darth Vader breathing with his mask on might have been the other one. So.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for being such a good sport. But I want to slow things down a little bit. Like many of us, the way we are working and connecting these days looks very different. We're curious, how are you handling all the ins and outs of running a show from home, which I know you've been doing, social distancing, doing videos and things for us, as well as the new strain put on our minds and bodies by the current world situation we're in?
I'm blessed that I've gotten to go to China quite a bit with USANA, and we were there over Thanksgiving. And I was, nurturing our show, which is airing there, and all our social media collaboration. So I had my finger on the pulse of what was happening in China and in Wuhan back in January and February. So I was concerned, I think a lot of folks were who understood what was happening in China, that the COVID-19 virus would be a bigger issue in this country. I didn't appreciate how big it would be. I wish I had, but I did know that we'd probably be out of the studio. So we built a home studio, which is where I'm coming from right now. This is where I tape my show. And, you can tell a little bit about it. It's well lit. There's no shadows. The quality of the voice is good and the set's good. So I built this so I'd be prepared. Now, the problem is when we really hit the hard days of March and April, I couldn't bring a team in here. So I had to pull my family in, and they actually allowed the show to go on. It's like an old circus family. So Lisa would do my hair and makeup and the wardrobe, because I can't even pick out this simple outfit. My daughter Daphne would help she did all cooking shows. Oliver he was tech support. He did what you normally do, Dan. He was also the key grip. Whenever we go traveling into remote locations to film, Dan comes along because he can carry almost anything. He's a little bigger than a Sherpa, but a lot stronger. And that allowed us to keep the show going. It also brought us together because the social distancing, and it's really not social distancing, everybody, it's physical distancing. If you social distance and physical distance, you'll be miserable because we have dramatic forces that are out there. Some of them are interestingly useful because they've slowed us down. I hope many of you feel the same way, that it's been frustrating that you can't do all the things you would have done, but by slowing down, you got to do things you wouldn't have been able to participate in. Like that Genghis Khan book that I mentioned earlier, I would never be able to read books over the summer. I'd be running from place to place to place. It changed my life to be able to spend more time with my kids in particular. It allowed intimacy to occur. In the presence of physical distancing, we were able to come together socially. And I think that's a critical message, because the real mind-body strain comes because we're lonely. We don't feel like we're raindrops falling into the ocean of humanity. And the associates provide that human safety net for so many people in your work area. The people that you're connected to are looking to you for that safety net that we've always provided to each other in times of difficulty. So don't underestimate how critical that is. You might be talking about products, but you're actually talking about humanity. And that's ultimately what will get us through this. It gives us a focus, like I spoke of earlier. Whether you're looking at a tennis ball to hit it right, or you're looking at the things that are hurting people that you can help them with, people will appreciate that for the rest of their lives.
You know, and you're right. One of the most important things I think you've already mentioned, you have an amazing wife, an amazing family. Being able to spend time with them and help them with your show. I remember when we were doing interviews and Lisa was holding the prompter. I was just glad she kept it up so that we could keep going. But you have an amazing family, and I think that is a benefit to this. You're on the front lines of all this, the global pandemic. It's hard not to focus on the negative with everything you see and hear. But from your vantage point, what you know, is there anything hopeful or something that gives you more hope as you look out into the horizon?
I'm more optimistic today, right here in front of you, than I have been since this whole event started. We are getting better and better at truly understanding what this virus is about, how to cope with it. Our perspective here in the West is valued, but we've been able to create international alliances now in science to be able to save the world, essentially, from the ravages of COVID-19, not just the infection, but the hardship caused by the shutdown that was used to eradicate it. And I do respect that both of those are crises. And as a physician, you've got to treat both the patient and the world around them. We're getting better at treating people who get ill, which gives us a lot more flexibility in how we treat and prevent the virus from spreading. We've learned a lot about simple preventive strategies. Early on, we had a one sheet that was the most popular piece of information I've ever put on social media. And it basically said, guys, look around at what data we have on the common cold, because the common cold is often a coronavirus. We know vitamin D prevents the common cold. We know vitamin C and zinc can speed recovery. And just yesterday, I got access to a paper published from NYU showing again that adding zinc to another medication speeds up the recovery of people who have COVID-19, because zinc gets into the cells and limits the ability of the virus to replicate and spread. So we're getting dramatically improved results. Only half the number of people who get hospitalized go to the ICU compared to what it was in the early days. And in many parts of the country, the number of cases have dropped dramatically. In fact, I was looking just before our little broadcast started. There are only half a dozen states they're in the red zone. They're having significant amounts of cases per 100,000 people, most of them in the southeast part of this country. If we can just get Florida and Georgia over the hump, we're pretty much in good shape. Many parts of the country have dramatically reduced the incidence, which makes it easier to do things like open schools, open businesses, etc. All that said and done, we need the vaccine. There's dozens of vaccine companies, but 5 are really out there. 2 in the U.S., 1 UK company, a partnership with Oxford, and there's 2 Chinese companies that are way out there already being tried in tens of thousands of people. And I'm optimistic that by the late this fall, we'll actually have results enough that gives us confidence that some of those will work, again, in terms of billions of doses, which is what we need for the planet. So I'm excited. I think that by 2021, we'll be widely vaccinating people who desire it. For herd immunity, we need about 60% of the population to be vaccinated. Not everyone has to get vaccinated, because not everyone's going to get vaccinated, but enough will get vaccinated. Enough have already been infected or exposed, or got exposed to a common cold last year, the year before, that they have immunity that's mature enough that it would protect them, that we'll be able to protect the planet, so that next year, this time, I'll be with you in person, because I'm going to be working on my piano skills.
That means I better start doing the same thing. So I know we've had a lot of time to spend together and talk, and I know you're involved in a lot of, breakthroughs, whether it's health and lifestyle and things. And you are an entrepreneur, a true meaning of an entrepreneur yourself. Have you had time, with this downtime to work on any new patents you might be able to talk about?
I just got a paper accepted, an abstract with colleagues on how you can elevate the head of the bed to reduce snoring and improve sleep. Now think about it. One of the big reasons, and sleep is the number one unheralded cause of problems in America, and in fact, the entire world. People don't sleep well. They write it off, not a big deal. But when you don't sleep, you gain weight. You're prone to high blood pressure. You're actually prone to all kinds of medical problems, including probably your weakened immune system, predisposing you to things like COVID-19. So we have some work that we've done on proving that you make an adjustable mattress change its shape to help people who are snorers stop snoring, which, by the way, also in this study helped the person next to them sleep better as well. It's a straightforward concept, vetted by a lot of literature, but now we have our own data on it as well. So I'll be talking about a lot of that as we launch the show in the next couple of weeks.
I'll be watching, because I think Amy, my wife, might want to know a little bit about that patent.
She's been calling.
Yes. So as you know, you've been around the USANA groups for a long time. It's an amazing group of entrepreneurs, just like yourself. What advice do you have for entrepreneurs who are trying to navigate these new waters, this new world that we're living in?
There's more opportunity now for entrepreneurs than ever in my lifetime. And I say that because when you shake up the Etch-a-Sketch, which is what happened in the world, when all of a sudden everything's reset, the people who are not on the inside track can get there pretty quickly. So it's a huge vista of opportunities that are presenting. Find the biggest problems that you think you might be able to help with and get out there and do something about them. The challenges are growing daily in every category, but especially in terms of the health of the individual, it's become more evident than ever that we have the opportunity to make the world healthier by doing day-to-day activities better. I mean, I'll give you just one bit of data. If you did not have a risk factor for having a bad complication from COVID-19, you generally were not harmed by this virus. 95% of people admitted to the hospital in New York City and having big complications were overweight, hypertensive, diabetic, or had chronic lung issues, all of which you can address through day-to-day lifestyle shifts, just the kinds of things we talk about at USANA all the time. And it's going to be done with a lot of impacts. I'm intermittent fasting, which means I push my breakfast back a little bit till about 10 o'clock in the morning, eat my dinner by 8. And there are things I do to make that easier for me, but it works. By the way, that's why all those models in Hollywood are, looking like gazelles walking down the stage usually, that people are doing this in their day-to-day lives, but they need support to be able to get it done. You guys find opportunities to make that happen. All those areas I spoke about just now, weight, blood pressure, the blood sugar and lung issues, all those areas people need help on. Find solutions, get out there and give people confidence that they can make it happen. If they win that battle for health at home, then they won't end up in the hospital fighting for it later on.
And we hear about a lot of those things in watching your show, and I know you've become very intimate with paying attention with the things that are being spoken about on the show. And as you're approaching now season 12, congratulations, by the way. Are you seeing the show returning back to the studio, or are you going to be staying in the home studio there, employing the family as your crew?
I think it's going to be both. We have the studio here, which we're continuing to upgrade. So I need to use this studio for cutting edge interviews. When we get a big newsmaker and there's something that's going to be hot tomorrow morning, I need to tape it right now and it's ready to go tomorrow. So I'm going to keep the studio flexible and continue to use it as I have over the last 6 months. But the studio is going to be at CBS. That we've already created the set, designed it so that we don't have to have an audience. But it's big, it's spacious, and it looks gorgeous. So people for daytime television, they want high-end experiences. So we're going to start taping there in the beginning of September. And I hope with all the precautions that we're using that we'll be able to safely make it work for us. But hell or high water, we will be bringing a show to you with the cutting-edge information you need to stay healthy every single day of the year like we always have. And as you probably, I know you know this, but I got a Hollywood star awarded to me over the summer, which I'm grateful for. But I want to go out and celebrate that. And I think that's the litmus test. When I'm able to safely go with my friends, you're included, by the way, the whole USANA family, to celebrate that star, that means that we're allowed to gather and congregate large enough numbers that if you can actually have a celebration, that's when I'll know I can stay in the studio for good.
And the show should be on the Walk of Fame. That's awesome. And I have to tell you, we're improvising too. We got a pretty good set here. If you guys need some information or learn a few things, I got some people here at studios who can help you out. So now,
yeah, I'm jealous. I was noticing.
So now, folks, it's your turn. If you have any questions, be sure to put them in the live chat, and we'll try to address them in the time we have left. We've already got a few, so let's see. Here's one for you. It seems like you're always on the go. In fact, I know you're always on the go. What are you doing to take care of yourself during the pandemic, and do you ever take a vacation? It's a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. So, I have not taken a vacation this summer. I mean, a real vacation. I took a day or two off here and there just to sort of decompress. However, my day-to-day job is much less difficult than usually encountered. So I don't have to work, 16-hour days or even 12-hour days. I work hard from about 7 in the morning till 1 or 2 in the afternoon. I tape all the shows, do all the morning news appearances, whatever else needs to be done, and then by 1 or 2, I've done everything I can do, and I can't travel. So it actually gives me a lot of time in the afternoon for self-improvement, which is, I think, for me, it's been very rejuvenating. The most important thing I do is sleep, and I'm aggressive about it. I have a whole sleep hygiene plan in my own life. And I wasn't always a great sleeper. Certainly in residency, when you're doing heart surgery, you're not allowed to sleep. It's a sign of weakness, they would say. So I work on that, and I think it's made a big difference in my life. And I actually don't get hungry because I sleep so well, and I can exercise much better, which I do, by the way, every single morning. First thing when I get up, nothing stops me. I get an hour of activity in, and I encourage folks to think of that. But net, it allows you to do things to your body for many more years than you otherwise would have been able to.
And that kind of lends itself to this other question Joanne just sent in. She's asking, even though you're not traveling much, what's a must-have USANA product that you're either taking or you take with you? Because I know we send you a few, so I'm curious which one's your favorite.
I have a lot. I like consistency. I like doing the things that are really critical every day without missing a lunch. I don't remember the last time that I've missed an essentials packet. So, Dan and team send me my packets. They come in big rolled up. Most of you already know that.
I know.
It's my, but it comes up in rolled up pack. So I actually leave the pack on my desk. That way, there's literally nothing I can do to mistake it. I snap one in the morning when I get up. I usually take it at around 10 after breakfast. It agrees with me more, and then I take the second one right before bedtime. But it's on my desk, so I've automated the simplest move possible. Now, if I've hurt my knee playing too much sports, I have different USANA products. I have believe me, I've got a whole pharmacy here of options. But that essentials is always part of it.
That's great. Now this one, this will be interesting. So Kate is asking, what foods should I eat to get more energy?
The most important foods are not the ones with sugar in them. They're the ones with nutrients in them, because they allow your brain to relax, because your brain's not looking for calories, it's looking for nutrients. So I like fish. I actually like dairy products. They agree with me. So my morning is usually a yogurt with berries. And I don't need the berries to be sweet, because the yogurt actually clumps them together if they're blueberries or blackberries, for example. And those are the standard things I'll do. In fact, my wife says I'm a forager. Nuts are the most common thing you'll find in my pockets wherever I'm
That's
going.
what I was waiting for. I knew it was coming.
So they're always coming in.
That's great. So Yan is asking, this is a great question. In one sentence, what do you see that is so unique about USANA?
A passion for perfection.
We'll take
and
that.
I guess to make it a sentence, it's like Jeopardy. USANA has a passion for perfection. I've been to the factory, the facilities in both Salt Lake and in Beijing. If you guys had the blessing to be able to visit these, you'd be impressed as I am. I have filmed it and put it on my show a couple times, but there's a meticulousness. And you don't get that kind of perfection from just checking the boxes and being automated. You get it because you care so much about it. Your self-worth is wrapped around the fact that you can make the best supplements possible. And for example, those pro athletes that I have on are betting their careers on making sure they have the right supplements. So it matters to you because it matters to them. And it's that pride that I really adore about USANA. It's a culture.
I'm glad you sensed that, because I certainly feel that. Eileen is asking a question. Is there a topic that you are most proud of making people aware of? It's a good one.
I've spent a lot of time talking about making the internet safer and wanting to make sure that some of the problems that we see on the web are at least acknowledged, whether it's scam ads, which, I'm always used for scam ads because people trust my judgment. So they think, everybody's Dr. Oz recommending, this, whatever it might be, hair growth regimen, go ahead and try it. And oftentimes it misleads people. So I spend a lot of time on that. And I think we've made a dent in getting a lot of, not just viewers, but folks around America aware of it. The second big issue I think that I've been proud of is people now appreciate that they have much more control over their body weight than they ever realized. And they didn't know often that their body weight leads to most of the chronic illnesses that we have in the world. Diabetes and the high blood pressure, even cancer rates are dramatically linked to obesity. So people now know you can reverse the risks of those problems by losing weight. And so it takes the stakes up a little bit. And Oprah taught me early in my career that people don't change based on what they know, they change based on how they feel. If I can get you to feel differently about the world that you have in front of you, if you can drop a couple pounds and deal with those chronic illnesses, then you'll do it. And I think that's been the emphasis of the show, and I'm proud of that.
This is a good one too, just knowing the conversations we've been having over the last couple months with Rob and Jeremy. What should we know about traditional medicine and modern medicine working together in the I tell you, you must be.
That
was a good question.
It's a visionary question. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about this much, but it's a family, so let's just share it. So USANA has been working with great diligence with the premier traditional Chinese medicine center in the world. It's called the Beijing University of Chinese Medicine, and led by a U.S.-trained immunologist, Dr. Zhu, and we are collaborating with them in several ways. USANA is sponsoring scholarships to offset the expense so that more Chinese and foreign students can go attend university there. But the university is actually collaborating with USANA to write a book, the first book of its kind, explaining traditional Chinese medicine, not just the theory of it, but practically what do you do to use it in your lives to the Western audience. It came up because Dr. Zhu has been asked by the United Nations to chair a conference on traditional medicine. So there's traditional medicine in the Amazon jungle, in Central Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, in Asia, traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, American Indians. I mean, there's traditional healing tools because humans have always fought with illness. And many of the ideas that we use today to stay better are ancient ideas that have been around for a while, but they're few as old as traditional Chinese medicine, which is 5,000 years old. So working with Rob Sennett, Jeremy Tiang, and there's a bunch of great USANA scientists that are collaborating with me and the Chinese group on this. We have Wednesday evening calls because it's 12-hour time difference. So it's Wednesday evening, our time works well for them. And we get on the call, we hash it out, and we're about a third of the way through with a great writer and getting illustrations there. But you will be thrilled when you see the result, which I'll have way before convention next year.
It's exciting. I know a lot about it too, but I'm not supposed to say anything. You can. So Heather's got the last question that she put in. I think this is a good one for you to close us out with. Now, I know you're not a genie, but what 3 wishes would you grant for the USANA family for future success?
The 3 wishes is keep the culture strong. What Dr. Wentz built all those years ago and has maintained every single day is the secret sauce of USANA. So never sacrifice that, which means act with integrity towards each other, towards your customers. It's what makes the associates so powerful, but there's power in numbers because you guys hang together. That's number one. Number 2, keep innovating, stay ahead of the curve. You've always been doing that, whether it's understanding new ways that you can get nutrients into cells or appreciating whole different approaches to skincare. All this continues to allow USANA to be on the cutting edge. And third, keep hanging with the right people. All the athletes that you guys have brought in, when people who are world experts on their bodies are able to witness what USANA is about, you move from being a well-kept secret to the tool that people who desperately need you can finally access. And so if you're building the best utility tools for making the best existence for your body, make sure folks know about it.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time for really just sharing all your insight, putting all of it into it, and giving back in other ways as us as a partner with you and the show. And also to thank you and your family for the friendship. You're just amazing. Hopefully next time we'll be able to get together and be face to face.
Let me give you one shout out if I can. USANA has worked diligently over those last few months because many Americans, many people around the world don't have enough food. USANA has always been on this issue. They work with my foundation, Health Corps, and through the fantastic True Health Foundation, which USANA sponsors and funds, to feed everyone, but especially kids all over the place. God bless you for doing that. I miss you guys even more because you're always willing to step up and be counted. Stay healthy, stay safe, and all the associates out there, stay strong.
Well, there you go, folks. And this wraps up our 2020 Americas in Europe virtual convention. As Dr. Oz was just talking about, thanks to your VIP ticket sales and additional donations, we were able to raise 423,000 additional meals for the USANA Foundation. That far exceeds our goal of 100,000 meals to feed families hit especially hard by this world pandemic. All of the donations will go to families in need right in your own communities. We thank you for choosing to be here with us to celebrate and for all you do to create the healthiest family on earth.